Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'll invite everybody to go cameras on this morning and raise a glass, if you will. I've got my snowman coffee mug this morning because it is freezing here in Arizona. Like, Kelly's got a jacket on. What's that, Marsha?
It looks like Christmas.
I know, yeah.
It is
Kelly's got-
41 with a wind chill. So by
Yeah.
Phoenix standards,
Sure.
it might as well be snowing.
Oh, look
Right,
at you
yes.
have one of those jackets on.
I do. Can you tell I live here? And I have
Yes,
for
I
quite
can.
some time. My blood is so thin, I can't handle it.
Yeah. Kelly's like 40. What is that, a hot day?
Yeah, it's sub-zero here. It's below
Sure.
zero. I think we're 5 below zero actual temperature.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Nope.
gosh, good morning. David, what's the weather like up in Show Low? David's still getting going here. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
You're on mute. Yeah.
Muted.
There we go. Thank you. I saw these t-shirts. It just says you're on mute. That's like the phrase of
Oh,
2020.
that'd be a great one.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah. David, good morning. What's the weather up in Show Low today?
Muted.
Dave's on mute too.
You're still on
You're
mute.
on mute,
Still
Dave.
on mute.
I think was it *6, I think, is if you're,
I should just,
In the bottom left-hand corner, it will show you the mic.
yep. We've got Bill this morning. Hi, Bill. Hi,
Bill.
Amy.
Hey,
Hey, Bill.
morning.
Morning.
It's 10:30 where I am, so I've already had a couple of cups of coffee, but I couldn't miss the meeting with Mary.
Ha ha. I hope I live up to your expectations, Bill.
Oh, it's all good. Just seeing your smiling face is fine.
So you have to notice that we just got back from vacation and we went to Arches National Park, Petrified Forest,
nice.
Look
the
at your
Grand
backdrop.
Canyon. So I put it behind me. And we stayed right on property at the Grand Canyon, which was just beautiful.
First time?
My second time, but I don't know, it must be my age that I just appreciated it more. So, but I would, it's beautiful, you guys. Then we went to Sedona and then flew home out of Phoenix. So
Nice.
I was just in your state.
That's
Very
great.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we get the chance to hang out this way then.
Yes. Yes. It was very nice.
Let's see. All right, so I'm actually we are recording. Okay, so just as a notice, we are recording. If you don't want your face or likeness to be included in any Arizona HFMA publications, we'll ask you to go video off. But really, I hope you don't. It's so great to see everybody's face this morning. So we're going to kick off. This is our October Grateful Gathering. And at the beginning of the pandemic, we pulled together utilizing the technology that was available to us in lieu of the opportunity for face-to-face. And we created this, a networking event, a happy hour, a grateful hour. And it's grown to be something that we're doing regularly to help. I love the practice of keeping ourselves grounded in positivity. And so maybe before we start with putting Mary in the hot seat, as it were, let's hear from some of our folks out there to see, what are you grateful for today? David, I'm grateful you're off mute, so I'm going to call on you first. What are you grateful for this
Thanks. I
morning?
appreciate that. I guess I'm grateful for the snow. We need the moisture so we don't have any more fires going on up here. So
Yeah.
at least that's good moisture for up here. So I'm grateful for that, even though it's white behind me, and I don't know how grateful I am for the 19 degrees this morning, but other than that, I'm fine.
That's good. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to call on Kayla Wagner. She is our wonderful communications chair and has just been doing a great job. If you're not already following us on LinkedIn, please go follow for all of the latest updates on chapter happenings. Kayla, what about you? What are you grateful for this morning?
I'm grateful for my family and friends and being able to connect with people, even if we are doing it in a virtual platform. I mean, just to be able to connect with people still and engage with them is amazing.
Agree. Here, 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 here. Let's see. We've got all sorts of people that are on the phone here. BJ Peters, good morning. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you to unmute and tell us something that you're grateful for this morning.
So good morning. This is Becky Peters from Banner Health. Very thankful just to be here and being down in Tucson right now, visiting with my team and finally able to round again with my on-site facility. So extremely grateful for that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Let's see. I know, Joan, you're in Tucson as well. What's Joan grateful for this morning? I'm putting her on the spot.
She's super grateful it's cool and chilly in Tucson because it hasn't been for a long time. Yay!
Good. That's good. Let's see. Anybody else want to volunteer before we kick off here?
This is Marsha Maureen, and I'm grateful for how the Arizona chapter of HFMA welcomed me to your chapter in the state of Arizona in my retirement.
Oh, well, we're happy to have you here, Marsha.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, a toast, a hot coffee toast to you
Thank
and your
you.
service for HFMA.
Hey, Sam, this is Terry.
Hey, Terry, good morning.
Good morning. I'm thankful I get to walk my dog again this morning, and it's about 5 degrees warmer, so it's about 20. And the wind is not blowing 30 to 40 miles an hour.
That's a good thing. It'll blow you off the hill there. That's great. Well, what I wanted to do, and I invited Mary this morning, really on the heels of the fall president's meeting. Joan Goda is the president-elect for the chapter this year, and she and I had the opportunity to join the fall president's meeting, of course, virtual this year. And obviously things are very different. And as we not only kind of step through this year, but learn about what next year has in store for us, we you know, it's just, in my eyes, it really is looking very, very different. And so I thought for this month's Grateful Gathering, we would ask somebody from the association to join us and maybe just kind of lend a little bit more perspective nationally what they're seeing. So for those of you that have been with HFMA for any number of years, you will recognize the name of Mary Mirabelli. She really has been a stalwart of leadership for the association. She was the association president during the 2016-2017 term and is currently the senior vice president for content strategy and delivery. Her background does include 13 years time served, we'll call it, with HCA, as well as 6 years with Hewlett Packard's Global Healthcare Services team. So Mary, without further ado, welcome to our chapter event this morning. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. What are you grateful for this morning?
And I am grateful for today, my friends and my family, and the way in which things have brought us together in just weird ways. And I say that just because a dear HFMA friend had her parents in a car accident over the weekend, and her father died, and her mother is in critical condition. And so I am grateful because of the connections we've made. And so, you know, there's a ladies group that I belong to that are all of our, you know, HFMA ladies who've been on the national board together. And so we have a prayer string going for this person's mom. And so I'm just grateful for that faith and the connections that we make. So that's what I'm grateful for today.
Yeah. Well, certainly sad news to hear about that.
Yeah. Just, you know, I can't imagine what that would be like. So, so I'd say, you know, those of you, you know, you can give your parents a hug, just give them a big one, a big wet kiss. So
just kiss anybody that will let you at this point, right?
Yeah, right.
That's good. That's good. So tell us a little bit about your role currently at the association. What is the content and delivery entail?
Yeah. So I painfully did slides, but I will not torture you with them. But I just put pictures of everything that content is all about. So I'm happy to share that if you want me to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me just share that very quickly. It was literally like, 3 slides or whatever. So it's not very much. Let me make sure I find it. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, guys. I just got to make sure that hold on. Hold on.
Sam, I just made Mary a co-host, so
Okay.
she should be able to share.
Oh, okay. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. There we go. Now I can share. All right. And let me go back.
I'm glad
This
you're on
is the other
camera.
thing we're grateful for is that we figured out how to use all this stuff.
Yeah, I was
So-
gonna say, we'll figure it out just about the time we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a
So,
problem.
yeah, I don't think so either. So I did want you to know that I thanked you. I thank you all for just a great vacation. So it's a picture you see behind me. So let me just tell you what the world of content is all about. And, if you think about HFMA and you think about what we're about, hopefully, making those connections is something that's really important. But then our responsibility to the membership is primarily around content in addition to all of the great relationships that we have. So what sits in content today is certainly your HFMA Daily that you get every day. So we have a team that puts that together every day. It was just interesting. We just looked to see that most of our webinar registrations come straight from HFMA Daily. 80% of them come from HFMA Daily. And I think it's just because it's easy. You see it, and I would love feedback is always great as well. But that is part of what the content team does. Another big piece is the production of our magazine every month. And I hope, and I would really love to hear what you have to think, because I'm very proud of what I think we've transformed it. If you would recall, we used to have covers that never had a human on it. Like, I don't know the last time we had a human on it, but we never had humans. And we have a new person who named Brad Dennison, who we brought in, who has a great kind of media background. And so we had shown our magazine, please don't laugh when I say this. We'd shown the magazine to like some of his good media friends. And one of the comments that was really hard to hear was that our magazine lacked humanity. And if you looked at it, it was filled with, stuff, but I didn't know whether or not it was really meaningful to all of you. So we decided that we needed to transform the look, the feel, and the content within that. The magazine is actually something that when we ask members what they value, this is one of the things that they will repeatedly say they like. So the other thing, if you notice, and I just pulled the most recent one, and Bill, of course, it's, Georgia chapter Meet Max. So one of the things that we did was we started to put in a chapter section, which we hadn't had in I don't know how long, but chapters are our lifeblood. And there we were not paying any attention to the chapter. So we've put that into the magazine. We've put more memorials to those who have left us that have been great leaders. If you notice it just the headmast is different. I mean, the graphics are better. So I'm going to shut up, and I would love to hear what you guys think about the magazine, and have you noticed the differences, I guess is a big question.
Absolutely, Mary. Some really great content. I just like the little the little snippets and stuff too, right? And instead of the 8 or 10 page articles. But
Yes.
I thought it was interesting how appropriate was it that this one was January of 2020.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Now,
So,
now that when
you
you
know.
think about it, huh?
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. But
Yeah.
no, it really has been, and I've shared some of the stories digitally with folks as well. So
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
really great content.
Thanks, Bill. You're a good cheerleader. What else? Good and stuff you'd like to see more of. Your
Mary, hi,
chance,
this is Helen Haas at Mayo
Helen.
Clinic. Hi, definitely I've noticed the difference. I think it's more compact and it allows you to see more at a glance, and then you can dive in. And I know at Mayo Clinic, there's been a big push for HFMA activity from our CFO. And so just seeing more people, finding articles, sharing the articles, starting the conversation, it's super fluid. I think it's very
good.
Mary,
That's
it feels more strategic to me, and that you're able to hit hot topics faster than we were in the past.
Yes, that's good feedback also. All right. Anything else that's helpful?
I still love the fact that it's a thing, that it's
a magazine, right?
It is a magazine. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much online digital content, and
Yeah.
I consume quite a bit of it, not
Yeah.
only professionally, but
Yeah.
personally. And this is the one thing that I prefer to read it online with the magazine.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Even though you can get it now online. So we do offer a digital version of it for those folks. Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of content. You see
great.
live webinars as well. That is part of my team's responsibility to host them, moderate them, review them. This month has been cray with live webinars. We switched to Zoom during the summer. Our old platform didn't do very much for us, and it was expensive. And so we've gone to Zoom, and we both have Zoom webinars and Zoom meetings now as part and parcel of what we have to use. Today we have a webinar in the afternoon, 2:00 Central Time on price transparency. And I just got the number this morning, 531 people, are signed up for it.
That's great.
Yeah. So, again, I think people try to get their, their credits. But I also think some of the stuff's been good. So we're doing that. So live webinars are part of it. And then all of the events. And probably this is where life has changed the most.
Yeah.
So as painful as it was, we had to cancel San Antonio. You all know that. We had rescheduled the Revenue Cycle Conference. It was supposed to be in March. We rescheduled it to September thinking, well, it'll all be over by then, right? And we can go to New Orleans and we can have a great conference, and boy, it's going to be great. And then it wasn't over. So we had done the digital annual conference throughout the summer. And hopefully many of you have had the opportunity to attend bits and pieces of it. And we really felt like that needed to be, just given everything that people had gone through, that it was a member benefit period, that it wasn't going to be something that had a fee attached to it to attend. But then we just finished our Digital Revenue Cycle Conference. And we had about 416 registrants for that. And we wanted to make it feel more like you were at the conference. Did any of you attend that are on?
Yeah.
Bill, you did?
Yes.
So we used, Bill, the same app that we would have used at the annual conference, so that it wasn't clicking out, clicking in, clicking, it was just one page you could go to. So we will continue to use that piece of technology for stuff coming forward.
yeah, it was really easy to navigate, very
Yeah.
interactive, and
Yeah.
just, yeah, it was
Yeah.
it really helped.
So you could go visit our business partners, you could connect with people, you could see who else was registered. You could do a lot with it. We could do breakout groups, given Zoom meeting. So, it was a good attempt. So one of the things that I would tell you that I and two of my team have taken is a digital experience strategist course. Just to get a better sense of all that is available. Because quite honestly, guys, I think we're going to be in this for a while.
Yep.
So,
maybe just to take a note off of that, we just came off of our fall conference, and, learning now that we have that Crowd Compass app available, we will be leveraging that from the association for future meetings. Kelly Christensen from Professional Credit, who is our amazing knockout program chair. We're already starting to leverage that into the planning for our conferences that we'll have early in 2020. So
that is great.
Conference, and then a value-based care conference that we're looking to kind of collaborate with other folks in our region around. But that Crowd Compass piece is really a cornerstone of that. And we're struggling with the same thing in terms of, that walking a fine line between Zoom fatigue and still continuing to deliver exceptional content.
Right.
Kelly Bauer, who was in the Parka this morning, she is the conference chair this year for our Women Lead Here conference. So ladies, for those of you that are on the line, if you have not yet registered, please do so. It is Friday, November 13th. We have a really great day planned, and registration is open, and it really is going to be, we're building it as a can't miss live event delivered digitally and safely. So, I think that content piece really is something that all of the chapters are, we're stepping through it the best that we can, and trying to continue to deliver that value for our members and stay connected and do all the things we normally would do.
Yeah. And we're trying to balance too. And I think, the thing that this brought, and I think we always knew it, and I don't know about you all, but we were highly dependent on the revenue from the annual conference in terms of making the budget for the year. And so that was a killer to face. But I think it is forcing us to rethink what we offer and how we offer what we offer, and how we think about what is a member benefit and what is a piece of digital premium content that deserves, a fee balanced with business partner support. So we're still learning what works and what might not work for our membership. So I offer that up.
And it's shifting. I mean, I think that we're all getting better, and the level of offerings is continuing to increase as we're sort of forced for that mind share. So Well, what other ways are you seeing, Mary, that maybe the pandemic is impacting the association, aside from, a massive 180 pivot on how we're delivering the content?
Yeah, I think, I think it's definitely causing us to look at all of the things we have. We just had a call yesterday to say, how many different products do we have? How many members do they reach? How valuable are they? And, are we better off thinking about using our resources in other ways to be of more value to the membership? So that is definitely, we're right in the middle of it, of kind of having that conversation. And, honestly, we have struggled to say, hey, we have a model that is all inclusive. So how do you start to say, this is Netflix premium? Like, yes, you have HBO, but do you want HBO Max? Well, it's a little bit extra for that. And so, and I'm just being blatantly honest with you, that's the conversations we're having, is how do you separate that out in terms of what's of value? And then how do you start to plan for a live event, but you're planning knowing you might have to switch it at a moment's notice. And are you prepared for that? So it's almost like we're, even as I think about the annual conference right now, we're probably going to have two teams stand up. One that's dealing with what happens if it's live. And we're thinking we'll be lucky if we have half of the people that we usually do, because social distancing most likely will still be in effect. And then we're going to have a virtual team that's looking at how do we package it virtually, because I think it would be as boring as hell to just say, well, just keep coming to these sessions one after the other, when part of the fun is the interaction, the connection. We did take the opportunity, I'm happy to share, you know, we took the opportunity through all of the digital annual conference sessions of asking some very specific questions. So it was interesting. One thing that, you know, and Bill, you'll laugh, I love the tchotchkes, right? I love to be in the exhibit hall and get all the goodies, right? I'm just weird that way. And I thought, well, you know, we should be packaging up the tchotchkes for the revenue cycle conference and shipping them out to people. And we should be sending them a Grubhub coupon so they can have breakfast or lunch at their whatever. And what we heard overwhelmingly was that people didn't care about that stuff. Now it makes me sad because I like the tchotchkes, but it wasn't of value. And so what we found in, you know, thousands of responses was the ability to connect with other people was important. The ability, and we had done, since we were new, we had done a lot of taped stuff, and they told us we want to see it live. So Digital Revenue Cycle Conference, it was live. And I kept saying to the team, you know, if somebody's on stage and they flub, they move on. If you're live on a Zoom and you flub, you move on. And they told us, you know, good national industry experts are also of value in terms of a draw, but that the Grubhub coupon and the other stuff was not a draw. We also asked about willingness to travel. And that is something that you got to keep asking because it keeps changing.
Well, and are you seeing a difference there between, I know what we heard was there's a willingness to travel from certain demographics within our chapter, but for example, our providers, they are on very strict travel restrictions, just given everything that's at stake within healthcare. So, you know,
well,
for us,
well, and we're hearing the same thing, you know, so even Mayo is a great example of where Dennis has said, you know, for sure we're not traveling the remainder of this year. Most likely we won't travel at all next year either.
Yeah.
So we're starting to hear that on the provider side.
And it's not just travel, it's any in-person gathering.
Right.
And it makes it hard. I mean, I think without the, without that provider demographic, it just, you know, it shifts. And as much as I love a good business partner party, it's a little different at a conference without the providers.
Yeah. So that's what we're finding, and that's what we're struggling with. And so now we're starting to think about, you know, when I took the digital experience strategy class, it was interesting. You know, I paid for it, and it was multiple sessions with like an office hour a day where you could learn more every week, and the moderator was the same. And so we're thinking about how do we kind of create those kinds of things that are of meaning to our membership. And in fact, today, when we do the big price transparency webinar, we will be announcing a 5-part series on price transparency that will have a fee associated with it. Not a lot. I mean, because it doesn't cost us a lot to hold it. But at least to pay for that Crowd Compass, which is, you know, $1,500 a pop. So we want to at least cover that. So we're thinking about doing more of those kinds of things. You know, we're thinking about what, you know, we used to do, and even last year, we used to do seminars every December. And they used to be on very specific topics, analytics, the charge master, blah, blah, blah. And we're saying, well, we can't do them in person, but could we offer them, you know, as a premium virtual experience for people. So that's how we're looking at it.
So you said into 2021, it's sort of the national direction that there'll be no or very few in-person events?
Yeah, I think very few. I think we still have hope. You'll see March 22nd through 24th in Phoenix. We are still hoping that that happens. And if it does, we will rejoice. And if it doesn't, it will be virtual.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because the hotel we have there, it's not even open. It's not even open yet. So, and Boston is supposed to happen at the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at, could we push it back? Does it help us to push it back?
Right.
Later in the year? Will we feel better as a country? Will we have a vaccine? Can we have vaccine and masks and still make it a good event with a virtual component? So it's a tough time. And it's our 75th anniversary next year.
Yeah.
So that's what, breaks our heart more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. During the fall president's meeting, and it wasn't something that my mind hadn't gone there yet, is the association talking about that in-person, sort of the spacing. And I know 6 feet and I get it, but what they did is they held up a visual to say, okay, this is the ballroom that we had for our annual conference, and it held 750 people. And now when you grid it out, this 6 foot spacing, it holds now 200.
Yeah.
And
it's
so,
crazy.
That to me was so jarring to think, okay, because it's not just we turn the faucet back on and everything's great. I mean, we're facing this in, and to think about the space that we need now to hold fewer people. It was, like I said, that was really telling.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I know it's the top of the hour, so for those of you that do have to drop, have a great day.
Yes.
Be grateful, positive, and if you're not already registered for the women's conference, please do so.
And I have presented there, years ago. So it's a great conference. Sign up.
Yeah. This will be our 8th annual, and we're so excited. We had a speaker social where we had all of our speakers on Zoom, and listen, I'm an easy crier anyway, but I was just moved to tears hearing these women and what they're bringing to the table. It's just so inspiring. So, guys, it's not, invite your wives, the ladies that are on your team, your sisters. It's not a healthcare conference, nor is it about finance. It really is around just women's empowerment and women leadership, and anybody is welcome to join. And we're excited about that conference.
So the guys could come too if they wanted, right? We need guys on our journey as well.
They could. Yeah, certainly.
Sign me up, Callie.
So you mentioned also some of the that all-inclusive membership. I mean, and I know that was a big change. A lot of people, it's hard when you I think a lot of members up front really didn't understand the get, right? They understood the give really clearly, which is the increase in membership. But we've been working really hard here to really broadcast the additional value that you get with that all-inclusive membership. And we've seen a big push and a big spike in our certified members, which I think has been great. Terry Brennan and Jason Metcalf have done such a wonderful job of really pushing that on. We have a friendly challenge with our enterprise members around certification that's been a lot of fun. But what other, are there other big changes that the association is thinking about doing that are sort of that seismic?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything that is that seismic. Let me first say that. So I don't think that is in the cards that we would do something seismic. I will tell you, that I think we're starting to look at adjacent markets that might be ripe for net new members, either at the enterprise level or at the individual level. And so that is something that we are starting to look at. And we're really in a strategy mode right now that includes a lot of surveying and interviewing to see what are those adjacent markets. Should we continue to focus on the intersection of finance and technology? in particular, and where are those connections? You know, and I don't know if any of you are members of HIMSS, but, you know, they've had a very tough year. And so many people are disenfranchised with them. So for us, that is a potential opportunity to start to really think about net new members. And when you think about that, you have to have content that makes that membership meaningful to them as well.
Right.
So that's one thing. The other thing that we're doing more of is more collaboration with other organizations as a way to continue to expand our circle of influence and brand, so to speak. So I can tell you that I've been having, in fact, I have another call tomorrow, AHIMA, which is our coders, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a big international footprint because coding is a universal language. And they have, you know, we've had conversations with them. Last year, I got the opportunity to go to Abu Dhabi for their conference because those countries are building many, many private insurance products and are building a revenue cycle. And so it's been weird to think about if you didn't have one and now you have one, what's the evolution of it? So right now we have 4 events that they've invited us to partner with them on. Joe Pfeiffer will be speaking at something in mid-November in Berlin. We have something, interestingly enough, Saudi Arabia is going to the Australian coding system, and they need tons of coders and tons of revenue cycle people. So it's been interesting because our content can fit. Now, we got to get rid of a lot of our own legislative stuff, but we have many more similarities than differences, you know, and we're trying to think about, well, what's the same? Well, capital funding's the same, treasury's the same. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, the same, you know, so there's a lot that is the same. So we've been working on collaborations with them. We've been working on collaborations with CLAS, which is really interesting for us as well, in terms of some of the things that they've been doing. And they want our expertise to say, well, if we're going to look at someone, can you guys do the financial component of it in terms of the analysis of how healthy an emerging tech company might be? So it's been interesting. I think, you know, traditionally, you know, as an association, we're not real used to collaborating. You know, we kind of hold our stuff tight.
Absolutely.
And when I worked at Hewlett Packard, I quickly learned the only way you were going to survive in technology is to collaborate. And GE was a collaboration partner. Philips was a collaboration partner, you know, because we provided all the hardware and all the storage and all the other stuff. But what could we do to work together on the services side? And so I've taken, that's a part of how I look at the world is you can't stay isolated as an association. The world just doesn't work that way anymore. So
that's great. Well, let me take a break here. I want to open it up to some questions that we might have from some of our participants. Is there anybody out there that wants to ask a question of Mary?
I had a question for Mary, if I could. Callie, go ahead.
Thanks, Bill. Did you just call me a goat head this early in the morning?
Go ahead.
No, I'm teasing. My coffee's just kicking in. Mary, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some expertise as we continue to deliver virtual value, right, through our membership. Yeah. And as you say, pretty much all associations are fighting for the time and treasure of our membership. Are there other strategies that you're seeing other chapters utilize to really get the sponsorship business partner dollars in? Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And providers' budgets being cut. I mean, Sam was really ahead of the curve. We did a hosted payer provider option for our fall conference because we anticipated cost. What else could we do to make sure that our partners and our payers and our providers are all getting the value?
So I can offer up maybe just a couple things that you could think about. One is, you know, it's been interesting it's been interesting to kind of see what's out there and how people are selling in a virtual world. And so I listened to a really great webinar on selling in a virtual world. And two things. So if you had a sponsor that, let's say, did a webinar, right? And maybe paid for the privilege of having that webinar and did that webinar, one of the things that I've seen is that you help them continue the conversation so that it's not just one and done, they presented, then we're done. What happened with this selling in a virtual world, the presenter offered us something in the course of the webinar. And he said, you know, if you want to know more about this, I am happy to send this to you for free. Just pop your email address in the chat box, even though they already know who's on, right? But it forced an action and an interaction between that business partner and that individual. And then he didn't answer all the questions in chat. He purposefully did not. And so what he did was every week he would come back to us with more offerings and say, I promised you I was going to continue the conversation. Here's a question that got asked that I didn't have the ability to answer. Here's some links. Here's an article you can read. And every week until he was done with all the questions, kept the conversation going. So that's one thing that I think helps a business partner get what they need, which is that interaction and connection. The other thing, so does that help? Is that even, okay. And Bill, I don't know what you think about that. If you think that's a good idea, but I think, you know, to me, it was effective in continuing the conversation. The other thing is, you know, we started Executive Connections because it is about the connections. And so we've been acting as broker, basically, for our business partners to get the kind of connections they need. So that's been kind of part two. And then I'd say the third thing I would offer up, and we just did this with the price transparency, we focused on let's really help people solve an immediate issue they have at hand. And so what was so interesting was we kind of packaged up what we wanted to have happen for this price transparency series. And we wanted it not to be, you know, a bunch of talking heads. And we wanted it to be tool focused. We wanted it to be, do you have a plan of action? And here's the milestones you need. And our sales team kind of took what we packaged up, and literally it took less than a day and a half for them to sell out the 5 events that we had. And I think we're learning that if you can help the sponsors and our business partners with events that focus on solving something and they have a potential solution for it, and that you don't package it as a sales job, but package it truly in the I want to help you succeed way, that you can have some success in that way also. So you could think about shorter, very focused kinds of things that, again, might be helpful to your membership.
Thank you, Mary.
Was that helpful?
That was awesome.
Okay.
I saw Sam taking notes. I'm taking notes. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, that was great. That was similar to my question about the partner or the business partner provider collaboration. But I did want to go back and just make a quick comment on one of the positives I think that's come out of this is I think in many ways we've broadened our reach. You know, I've always leaned on HFMA for obviously networking opportunities and whatnot, but also education. I have not sat on the provider side of the desk. And so, you know, I have those folks that early on in my career I could sit across from and ask about you know, revenue cycle questions. Oh, great, your AR days have gone up. You must be so excited. And no, Bill, the idea is that they go down. You know, so what I mean by that is that I think there are a lot of people in these provider organizations, especially, who are frontline workers who very much need the education and the direction and some of the feedback on some of the issues that they're facing every day. You know, we focus a lot on the leaders, the VPs, the directors and whatnot, but a lot of this frontline staff. And I know in Georgia, a lot of our events are open to this. I just hosted a payer forum for Georgia, and most of the people that attended are probably not members of HFMA, but they work for organizations that support HFMA. And I hope that we provide them some really good content.
And it's been interesting, and we've done this as well. We've looked at the titles of people who attend things, and we've looked at it at the webinar level. We've looked at it at the event level. And you begin to say, well, who's attending what and what's of value to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at how the composition of our membership has changed, to your point, Bill, you realize we have a lot of frontline workers. And they don't get, and I'm registering patients, man. I don't get an hour to go listen to a webinar. So I don't know what you people are smoking, but that doesn't help me. I can't get away. And so I think it's also forcing us to think about what do we offer to help that person. You know, something shorter that they could see whenever. So I did not get the opportunity to say we're in the process of changing out our learning management platform. I hate the one we have today. Hate's a strong word. But we have something that is so cool, you guys. I'm so excited about it. You'll laugh when I say, you know, as you might imagine, when Joe Pfeiffer can't find something in the learning catalog, you wonder who he calls? It would be me. And so we do not make it easy to find an on-demand web. We don't make it easy to find anything. And so we are moving to a new platform. It will most likely be live in January.
Oh, that's exciting.
And it's, you know, we've looked at what we have for career assessments. We looked at what we have for Learning Paths. And if you looked at what we had, in fact, we have a question for our person today. Is it better to have a learning path by role or by topic area? Because right now we have it organized by topic area, but we have looked at all of the roles. We looked at all the titles, and then we've said, what is in the online catalog today? What's in the webinars? What's in the whatever, to say, how are we meeting the needs of all of those members? So anyway, that's something that I'm pretty excited about. So.
Well, that's such a good point. I mean, I know with our in-person conferences, even if you have a session that's an hour, it's okay, I've got to log off an hour before and then drive and then park and then sit and then, so you're talking about a 3-hour commitment for a 1-hour block of time. And so, you know, that notion that we don't have the travel constraints, we don't have to worry about parking or expense or, you know, any of that. You just literally can kind of log on. I think it is a opening things up. I know in Arizona, you mentioned also the cross collaboration. We're doing a pilot program right now for the association around coding and trying to integrate different people into our membership. So we're very excited about that. Just a shout out to Gidget Bowers from Titan Health. Gidget, if you're out there, great job. Very excited about that. But along the same lines, to say, you know, if we can't physically reach people, how do we expand our reach virtually? And, you know, looking at markets, you know, I know Terry, as our region exec, has done such a great job around bringing the chapters together in a way that, you know, during my, 8-9 years being involved in HFMA, I've never seen this level of collaboration among the chapters. And it's, you know, it used to be a little competitive, you know, friendly competition and that, but you know, we're sharing so much more these days and sort of pooling our resources. And I just love it. I really hope that that's something that sticks post-pandemic.
Yeah, I hope so too. What other questions? See.
So this isn't a question, but just you asked for feedback earlier. One of the things that I liked about the annual conference is that it was actually broken up over different days, because I think a lot of us struggle now with days just of meetings. And then all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and you didn't get anything done on your list. So it was nice to be able to, I think, just prioritize what's important to us, whether that's your career or the engagement, but knowing you don't have to sacrifice the full day. And I think that was one thing that Callie and Sam carried over to our fall conference within the chapter as well. So I think that was really valuable, at least from my perspective.
All right. Thank you. That's good feedback. Appreciate it.
One observation that I would have is that as we think about the future coming up, that conferences might need to be a mix between real attendance and
Right.
virtual attendance, because there are
Right.
always going to be those people who are at high risk for some
Yeah.
reason or another, or who lack funding to be able to travel, that could at least
Right.
attend parts of the conference if a
Right.
virtual option were available for part of it.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's here to stay in terms of offering both. And, you know, Bill, even to your point, offering things that, you know, are short snippets that a frontline worker would find valuable. You know, so right now, if you looked at our catalog, God bless us, we have 67 online courses. And I'm looking at who's consuming what, from where. And we don't have anything that is a soft skill. We have a little bit in patient financial communications, but if I really think about the day in the life of someone at the back end or the front end, or someone who's working on, you know, Medicare cost reports, what soft skills, you know, might be valuable to them. So just know we're even trying to rethink transforming what we offer, how we think about. Like, an interesting thing is, oh, I'm embarrassed to admit it. We're reviewing a course on denials management that we're transforming in anticipation of the new system. We had a reference in that, I'm embarrassed to say, we had a reference in that course from 2004. Now that is 16 years ago. That's crazy. Like, we want to be relevant. And so I called, you know, one of our content managers who's been around a while, and I just said, Eric, can you help me find like newer references, like 2019, 2020? And he came up with a bunch of really good articles that related that we had published. Well, in our new system, we'll be able to say, here's the course, but here's some articles that would be helpful to you as well. Or here's a podcast you could listen to. So we're really trying to think of the different ways that people like to learn as part of our mission. So that's another thing that is new to me, but right to your point.
Mary, really, oh, sorry, Sam, just really quick on because Terry and Jason and I were, well, and really it was Terry and Jason doing the heavy lifting, in full disclosure, for CRCR Bootcamp Challenge. And it had been a couple of years since I was doing the CRCR, but that was a classic example of one where I think we've pivoted as a society that if we don't see a face, it doesn't hold us as much. So the audio overlay on top of what
oh my gosh, yes.
A little dry, not through any fault of our own, but it's really content heavy. That would be one thing that I would ask, just because it feels like we need cameras on now.
And I would agree with you. So here's an interesting thing about this new system. Part one, we can embed video clips. We're going to do video intros for everything. Ultimately, for all of the courses that are in there, so that somebody can see a face. And then we have the ability to embed videos within it. Now, our certifications are a little harder just because we have other requirements in terms of how frequently, you know, it's been interesting to learn all of these things. But here's the other thing that it allows us to do. If we wanted to do a simulation, meaning I'm going to tell you about a situation, and I want you to tell me what you're going to say to the patient or what you're going to say to your coworker. The person can record it, and then the supervisor can review it and give them real feedback about how they perform that skill. Because I think there's a difference between knowing the knowledge and demonstrating the competency. And a lot of what we have is about knowing the knowledge in our catalog, not necessarily about demonstrating the competency, unless you're doing a case study maybe. So I'm excited about the new system giving us that capability. And most likely you guys will be able to use this system too. It's big enough that we can hold just about everything. Well, millions and millions of things. So excited about it.
Mary, this is Deb Kelly. I'm calling from the Tampa Bay area. Thank you so much. I've been involved with HFMA since the 1990s, but I'm currently the social chair. And I was just typing in the chat box in case I didn't have time to tell you that I think the soft skills piece would be a really big win, not only for the healthcare providers, but for the service sponsor providers too. To fall back, I think it was Bill talking or someone earlier about not having been on the provider side as much.
Yeah.
I got both sides of it because I ran for-profit companies for them in the revenue cycle, but I think that would be huge. I mean, I would have my staff looking at that, you know, and I would sponsor them as a member to do it even, you know, so it would really be great. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
No, that's a great 2 cents. Like after I listened to that selling in a virtual world, I was like, we should offer this to our business partners.
Yeah.
We should offer a course like that via a webinar that's live, just to say, man, here's all the things that you can do. So
yeah, I think it'd be great. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Thanks, Deb.
Deb, thanks for joining us, you know, cross country like this. It's nice to see you here.
Well, you know, cross country, we serve the nation with our services, but I had to stop and think, what time is that going to be on today? Do I really have to get in front of the camera looking like this at 7:30? And I was so happy I didn't.
10:30 your time. So.
Yeah, exactly. It just is hard sometimes. You know how that goes. Thank you.
It's just the waist up that you got to get dressed.
Now I may show up, you know, and actually show my real face in the future.
I hope you do. I hope you do. It's a beautiful picture, certainly, but you know, there's nothing like that.
Hey, that was February before COVID. God only knows what I look like now. Seriously. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Well, we've got a few more minutes here. I don't know if anybody else has would like to share something else that they're grateful for, or any other questions of Mary.
I have one more observation that I would like to share. As we talked about subject matter experts and collaboration, I found myself in a very unusual situation towards the end of my career at the University of Nebraska, where I was put in charge of export control and international trade for the medical center and the University of Nebraska system. And I had no background whatsoever or expertise on this topic. And I think many good people can find themselves shifted, especially during the times that we have right now. And what saved me was that I found an organization that was made up of university export control officers that were willing to share their thoughts on any topics by chat. And that sort of thing can become overwhelming, but there are ways to put some boundaries and some controls around it. And you can just, you know, kind of reach out and say, I find myself in this situation. Have any of you ever experienced this before? And that was the thing. That one thing saved me in that role where I didn't even know how to get started.
Wow. Well, I'm coming back to you. You shouldn't have mentioned this, because as I start to do international work, I'm going to bug you. I hope you're okay with that. No, that's a great point, because we are doing more of it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's something you'll need to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? Sam, I didn't think we'd take up the whole hour.
Well, we've got a great group. I had no doubt. No doubt. Yeah. We have good folks here. Let me just kind of go back into the chat. We have just some really great, just kindness all through. I think that this is wonderful. Marcia, you asked about I'm going to take a minute again and plug our Women Lead Here event about the craft cocktails. We have an all-star amateur mixologist who is going to be doing a demonstration. We have developed a proprietary recipe for a drink. And so we are sending out sort of, we're calling our swag bags. So everybody, in addition to a wonderful journal and thoughtful tchotchkes, Mary, I know you love the tchotchkes, will also get this recipe as well as one of the ingredients to make.
Wow.
So you have to tune in, join us again. We've got that'll be our networking, but John Brown is our celebrity, mixologist, and he's going to walk us through how to make this great craft cocktail recipe at home. And you can use the spirit of your choice. So if you're a vodka enthusiast like myself, or gin or tequila, whatever your spirit, it will work in this recipe. So get registered. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really, really excited. Kelly's done such a great job curating the lineup and the content. So please join us for that. Mary, before we end here, just thank you so much for your time and joining us this morning for our October Grateful Gathering. We're thankful for your insights onto the chapter and what 2020 and 2021 and beyond will look like.
Yes. Bug me anytime.
Will do.
Thank
would
you
love to
very
hear from
much.
you. Thank
All right.
you. Thanks,
Appreciate
Kelly.
the
Good to
Ari-
see you.